In the shimmering sprawl of Limora City, where skyscrapers pulsed with holographic facades and drones wove tapestries of light, Roman Vale reigned supreme. A megastar actor at 38, his face adorned every hollow billboard, his deep hazel eyes, chiseled jaw synonymous with the blockbuster Starfall franchise. Romain wasn't just a celebrity. He was a brand, his wealth rivaling tech titans, his private AI network, Aurora, controlling his image across every platform in the city. From his penthouse atop the celestial spire, he curated a life of flawless charisma, his every move streamed to billions. But beneath the gloss, Romain harbored a secret, one that had cost him the only person he'd ever truly loved. Across the city, in a cluttered basement lit by the flicker of quantum servers, Lena Korsakov typed with a fury that matched the storm in her gray eyes. Known in dark web circles as Shade, Lena was a prodigy hacker, her neural implant a custom masterpiece that let her dance through code like a phantom. 5 years ago, she'd been Romain's partner, not just in love but in life, his confidant, his anchor during the chaos of fame. They'd met at a tech conference, her sharp wit and quiet intensity cutting through his polished exterior. For a year, they were inseparable, stealing moments in hidden corners of Lumora's neon jungle. But Romain's ambition had a price. When a rival studio leaked compromising footage of their relationship private moments, twisted to suggest Lena was a gold digger, he'd chosen his career over her, letting his PR team smear her name to save his image. The betrayal shattered her, leaving her with nothing but a broken heart and a vow to make him pay. Lena's revenge was a masterpiece of precision. Romain's empire relied on Aurora, an AI that managed his social media, his contracts, even his public persona. It was impenetrable to most, but Lena had helped Romain design its early framework during their time together. She knew its bones, its vulnerabilities. Her plan was simple but devastating. Hack Aurora, expose the truth behind Romain's curated life, and unravel the lie he'd built on her ruins. The romantic inner, buried deep, hoped he'd see the error of his ways. But the hacker in her wanted blood. Her fingers flew over her holo-interface, her implant humming as she slipped into the digital ether. Aurora's outer defenses were a maze of quantum encryption, but Lena was relentless. She deployed a swarm of nanoprobes, each a fragment of her own code, to test the AI's firewalls. Aurora responded with brutal efficiency, rewriting its defenses in real time, but Lena anticipated this. She sent a decoy, a flood of fake data, mimicking a DDoS attack, while her probes slipped through a forgotten maintenance port. It was a move Romain would have recognized, a ghost of their old coding sessions, and it landed her inside Aurora's outer layer. The first breach came at 3:04 a.m. Lena's probes mapped Aurora's architecture, revealing a treasure trove of data, Romain's private messages, his financials, even his personal journal. But what caught her breath was a hidden folder labeled L. Car, her initials. Inside were unsent letters, raw and unfiltered, where Romain poured out his regret, his longing, his fear of losing her forever. Lena's resolve wavered, her heart clenching at the words, "I never stopped loving you." She shook it off, her jaw tightening. Sentiment was a trap. She needed his private keys to take control of Aurora's core. The next morning, Lena tailed Romain through Lumora's glittering streets, her hoodie and augmented glasses blending her into the crowd. She'd hacked his schedule, knowing he'd be at his favorite rooftop cafe, sipping espresso while reviewing scripts. Romain sat alone, his tailored suit sharp against the city's haze, his tablet glowing with Aurora's interface. Lena settled nearby, her implant tapping into the cafe's Wi-Fi to deploy a microdrone disguised as a moth. It landed on his tablet, planting a keylogger before he could notice. Romain's eyes flicked up, scanning the crowd, and for a moment, It locked on hers. Lena's breath caught. Had he seen through her disguise? She'd altered her appearance. Her hair dyed jet black, her posture slouched, but Ramon had always had a knack for finding her in a room. He frowned, then looked away, dismissing her as a stranger. Relief and pain twisted in her gut. The keylogger streamed data to her implant. Passwords, tokens, fragments of his digital soul. She had what she needed, but the LK folder gnawed at her. Was he still the man she'd loved? Or was this just another performance? Back in her basement, Lena sifted through the keylogger's haul. The data confirmed her access to Aurora's core, but the LK folder revealed more videos of Ramon alone, speaking to a camera that never broadcast, apologizing to her, confessing he'd let fear dictate his choices. Lena's fingers trembled. This wasn't the cold mogul she'd expected. This was a man haunted, but her mission wasn't done. She crafted a virus to hijack Aurora's broadcast system, ready to leak Ramon's secrets, his regret, his role in her ruin, the truth behind his perfect facade. That night, she stood on a rooftop overlooking Lumora's skyline, her implants scanning for surveillance. Ramon's penthouse glowed in the distance, a beacon of his untouchable life. But her probes had caught something unexpected, a private message from Ramon to an anonymous account. "I know you're out there. Meet me at the old theater, midnight. Please." Lena's heart raced. Was he baiting her, or was he breaking? The message was real, verified by her decryption tools. She couldn't ignore it. The old theater was a relic of Lumora's past, its marquee dark, its seats dusty. Lena arrived cloaked in a stealth suit, her implant on high alert. Ramon stood center stage, alone, his silhouette sharp against the city's glow, filtering through broken windows. He looked tired, his perfect mask slipping, his eyes searching the shadows. "Lena," he said, his voice soft but carrying. Her stealth suit flickered, her resolve weakening. He'd known it was her. "I felt you in Aurora. No one else moves through code like you." She stepped into the light, deactivating her cloak. "Why the message, Ramon? Trying to save your empire?" "No," he said, his voice raw. "Trying to save us. I was a coward, Lena. I let them bury you to protect myself. But I'm done hiding." Her implant buzzed drones nearby, Aurora's security sniffing for her. She ignored it, stepping closer, her anger warring with the pull of his words. "Prove it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Give me something real." Ramon pulled a drive from his coat, its surface etched with her initials. "This is Aurora's kill switch. Everything my backups, my failsafes. Use it, and I'm done. But it'll take Crane Tech with me?" Lena took the drive, her fingers brushing his, a spark of their old connection. Her basement was too exposed now. They needed somewhere safe. "My place," she said, the words a risk she couldn't avoid. As they slipped into the night, Lumora's lights chasing them, Lena knew this was no longer just revenge. It was a chance to reclaim what they'd lost or burn it all down trying. Lena's basement was a fortress of shadows and silicon, its walls lined with humming servers and jury-rigged cooling units that rattled like a dying beast. The air was thick with the scent of burnt circuits and stale energy drinks, a stark contrast to the polished gleam of Ramon's world atop the celestial spire. Lena and Ramon sat at her rig, the drive he'd given her plugged into her system, its data spilling across her holoscreens in a cascade of secrets. Aurora's architecture was laid bare, its algorithms that curated Ramon's perfect image, its surveillance of fans, its manipulation of Lumora's media to keep him untouchable. But deeper still were the LK files, a digital diary of Ramon's regret, letters, videos, voice memos, all addressed to Lena, confessing his love, his cowardice, his longing to undo the past. Each file was a wound, reopening the hurt of their breakup, but also a spark of something she'd thought long dead. They worked in a tense rhythm, Lena's implant parsing the data at a speed that made her head throb, while Ramon provided overrides. Only he knew backdoors he'd built into Aurora when he still trusted himself. His presence was a constant pull, his cedar and leather scent a reminder of nights spent tangled in each other, planning a future that never came. Every brush of his hand against hers, every shared glance over the holokeys, felt like a negotiation between vengeance and forgiveness. Lena wanted to hate him, to cling to the fire that had fueled her for 5 years. But his quiet intensity, the way he leaned into the work, his eyes heavy with guilt chipped away at her walls. "Why didn't you send them?" she asked, her voice cutting through the server hum. She gestured at the LK files, her fingers hovering over a video of Ramon, his voice breaking as he said her name. All these apologies, these confessions. Why keep them locked away? Ramon leaned back, his jaw tight, his hazel eyes fixed on the screen. "I didn't deserve to send them," he said, his voice low. "After what I let them do to you. I thought you'd moved on, Lina. That you were better off without me dragging you back into my mess." "Better off?" She snapped, her implant buzzing with a surge of anger. "You let your PR team paint me as a leech, Ramon. They ruined my name, my career. I had to claw my way into the dark web just to survive. And you think I moved on?" He flinched, but didn't look away. "I know I failed you. I was drowning in Starfall, in the brand, in what everyone expected me to be. I thought if I let you go, you'd be free. But I was wrong. I see that now, every damn day." The rawness in his voice disarmed her, stirring memories of their late-night talks, his laughter soft against her skin. She wanted to scream, to shove him out of her life again. But the data on her screens demanded focus. Aurora was the key, too. Dismantling Ramon's empire, and her virus was nearly ready, a sleek piece of code designed to hijack its broadcast system and expose everything. His role in her smear campaign, Cranetech's media manipulation, and the truth of his hidden heart. But the LK files complicated things. Exposing them would free Ramon from his cage, but it would also bare his soul to a world that thrived on tearing people apart. Could she do that to him, even now? They pushed on, Lena's probes mapping Aurora's core while Ramon fed her encryption. Keys. Her implant pinged a backdoor in Aurora's quantum servers, a flaw Ramon had left unpatched in his early days, too sentimental to close. It was their way in, but it was also a trap waiting to spring. Aurora's I was sentient enough to detect anomalies, and Lena's probes were leaving digital footprints. "We need physical access," she said, her voice steady despite the risk. "The core's in Cranetech's vault, offline except for maintenance. If we can get in, we can upload the virus directly." Ramon's face darkened. The vaults. A death trap. Laser grids, drones, biometric locks tied to my DNA. I can get us past the outer defenses. But Aurora's inner core is a different beast. I built it to protect me. "Then you'll help me break it," Lena said, meeting his gaze. Her implant ran the numbers. 89% chance of detection, 67% chance of capture. She ignored it. "When's the next maintenance window?" "Tomorrow." "Night," Ramon said, his voice tight. "During the Starfall premiere, I'll be expected on the red carpet, but I can slip away. It's our only shot." The Cranetech vault was a fortress in Lumora's industrial heart, its obsidian walls ringed with drones in hollow camouflage that made it near invisible. Lena and Ramon approached under cover of a hacked drone swarm, their stealth suits bending light to cloak them. Lena's implant fed her real-time data guard patterns, thermal signatures, Aurora's patrol algorithms. Ramon moved beside her, his steps precise, his own tech syncing with hers in a way that felt achingly familiar. They were a team again. But the stakes were higher now. The air charged with the ghosts of their past dotted the vault's perimeter. Ramang used a retinal scanner keyed to his biometrics, disabling the outer drones. Lena hacked the door's quantum lock, her implant wrestling with Aurora's defenses. Inside, the air was sterile, the hum of processors like a heartbeat. The core was a glowing orb, its cables pulsing with data, but a laser grid flickered too. Life, its pattern shifting every 3 seconds. Lena's implant screamed warnings. This was Ramang's work. His genius turned against them. "You didn't mention this," she hissed, her eyes narrowing. "I didn't know they'd upgraded." Ramang said, his voice strained. "Aurora's learning faster than I predicted. No time for doubt." Lena linked her implant to the grid's control node, diving into its code. It was a living thing, Ramang's signature in every line, elegant, relentless, a mirror of his own. Guarded heart. She found a rhythm, a micro flaw in its randomization, and sent a pulse to freeze the grid for 2 seconds. "Go," she said, and they sprinted through. The lasers grazing their suits dot in the core chamber. Lena plugged her drive into the orb, uploading the virus to hijack Aurora's broadcast system. Ramang stood guard, his device countering Aurora's. Counterattacks. They were in sync, their movements fluid, but an alarm blared. Aurora had detected them, drones converging on the vault. "Virus is at 79%, Lena said, her vision blurring as her implant burned. Ramang grabbed her arm, steadying her. "Stay with me," he said, his voice cutting through the haze. "We're doing this together." The upload hit 100%, and the orb flickered, its glow dimming as the virus took hold. But drones were flooding the chamber, their scanners locking on. Ramang pulled her toward a service tunnel, their hands clasped tight. They ran, the vault's alarm screaming, Lumora's lights a blur outside. Lena's implant pinged the virus. Was spreading, ready to hijack every Starfall Premiere feed, every holoscreen, every neural interface tied to Aurora. They'd done it, but the cost was coming. They emerged in an alley, their stealth suits smoking, the city's pulse deafening. Ramang's face was grim. "They'll know it was me," he said. "My career's over." "Then start over," Lena said, her voice softer than she meant. She stepped closer, her hand brushing his cheek, feeling the warmth of the man she'd loved. "With me." Ramang's eyes searched hers, a storm of fear and hope. He leaned in, his lips brushing hers. Kiss that was both apology and promise, fleeting but electric. "I don't deserve you," he whispered, "but I want to try." Drones hummed closer, Aurora's wrath descending. Lena pulled him into the shadows, her heart racing. The virus was their weapon, but the fight wasn't over. They'd expose Ramang's truth, Cranetech's lies, and maybe, just maybe, find a way back to each other in the wreckage. The safe house was a derelict data hub on the fringes of Lumora City, its walls scarred with graffiti, and its floors littered with the husks of obsolete servers. The air was heavy with the tongue of rust and the low hum of Lena's portable rig, a patchwork of scavenged tech that glowed faintly in the dark. Lena and Ramang sat shoulder to shoulder, their faces illuminated by holoscreens streaming Auroras. Stolen data. The files were a digital reckoning Cranitech's manipulation of fan sentiment, its censorship of critics, its use of Starfall's cultural dominance to shape Lumora's narrative. But the LK folder was the heart of it, Ramang's. Confessions, his love for Lena, his regret for letting his team destroy her to save his image. Each word was a wound, but also a bridge, fragile and untested, between the people they'd been and who they might become. Lena's implant buzzed, SORTING terabytes of data into packets for a global leak. Her virus was primed to hijack Aurora's. broadcast system during the Starfall premiere, a moment when billions would be watching. The plan was to flood every feed, every holoscreen, every neural interface with the truth. Ramong's role in her smear campaign, Crane Tech's corruption, and the raw, human vulnerability of a man who'd hidden behind a megastar's mask. But the LK files complicated everything. Exposing them would free Ramong from his cage, but it would also bare his soul to a world that fed on scandal. Lena's fingers paused over her holokeys, her gray eyes flicking to Ramong. He was watching her, his hazel gaze heavy with trust and fear, and she felt the weight of their shared history like a physical thing. "We launch at the premieres." "Climax," she said, her voice steady despite the storm in her chest. "When Roman Vale's name is trending at its peak. It'll hit every platform before Aurora can react." Her implant calculated the reach: 87% of Lumora's population, 4.2 billion global viewers. The virus would spread faster than Crane Tech could contain, amplified by her dark web allies, hackers, leakers, and rogue A's who'd been waiting for a chance to strike. Ramong's jaw tightened, his hands clenching on his tablet. "This ends me, Lena. My contracts, my endorsements, my life, it's all tied to Aurora. Once this drops, I'm nothing." "You're not nothing," she said, sharper than she meant. "You're the man who wrote those letters, who loved me enough to keep them even when you thought I was gone. You're more than Starfall, Ramong." Her voice softened, betraying the ache she'd buried for years. "You always were." He looked at her, his eyes raw, unguarded in a way she hadn't seen since their early days. "I don't deserve this," he said, his voice low. "You're giving me a chance I didn't earn." "Why?" "Because I see you," she said, the words spilling out before she could stop them. "The real you, not the hologram Crane Tech built. And because I loved you too, Ramong, enough to fight for you, even when I wanted to hate you." The admission hung between them, heavy as the city's smog. Ramong reached for her hand, his fingers trembling as they laced with hers. It wasn't romantic, not exactly. It was deeper, a recognition of shared scars and shared dreams. Lena squeezed his hand, then turned back to her rig, her implant burning as she finalized the virus's protocols. Ramong fed her the last of Aurora's override codes, each one a betrayal of the empire he built. Her dark web network was buzzing, ready to amplify the leak to every corner of Lumora and beyond. By 3 a.m., the virus was locked, a digital sword poised to strike. But Aurora wasn't idle. Lena's implant screamed alerts. Aurora's AI had detected her probes, its algorithms hunting their signal across Lumora's grid. Drones swarmed the city, their thermal scans lighting up her feed. The safe house was cloaked, its location scrambled by Lena's countermeasures. But Aurora was relentless, its code evolving to track them. "They're closing in," Ramong said, his holomap showing red dots converging on their sector. "We can't stay here." "We don't run," Lena said, her voice cold. "We launch from here now. If we move, we lose the premiere window." Her implant ran the odds: 95% chance of detection, 82% chance of capture. She ignored it, focus razor sharp. "Help me reinforce the signal." Ramong nodded, his hands flying over his device to bolster her encryption. They rigged EMP traps around the safe house, their tech sinking in a desperate ballet. Lena's virus was at 92% implant overheating as it pushed the signal through Aurora's defenses. Drones breached the outer perimeter, their lasers cutting through the EMPs with surgical precision. Ramong grabbed her shoulder, his touch grounding her as her vision blurred. "You're burning out," he said, his voice urgent. "Link with?" She hesitated, then cinched her implant with his device, their systems merging in a dizzying rush. It was intimate, their minds brushing in the digital space, an echo of their old coding nights, but infinitely more raw. Together, they pushed the virus to 100%, and Aurora's core flickered, its broadcast system hijacked. Across Lumora, holoscreens lit up with the truth Krenitech's lies, Ramang's role in Lena's ruin, and the LK files, his confessions playing in stark, human detail. The Starfall premiere dissolved into chaos, fans gasping, reporters scrambling, the city's pulse stuttering. Drones smashed through the safe house's walls, their scanners locking on. Lena and Ramang ran, slipping through a hidden hatch into Lumora's underbelly, a maze of service tunnels and forgotten conduits. The city roared above, protests erupting, hollow billboards looping their leak, Krenitech's stock plummeting in real time. They stumbled into a disused subway station, their breaths ragged, their stealth suits sparking from overload. Lena's implant was fried, her head throbbing, but the broadcast was unstoppable now. Aurora was unraveling, and Romang's empire. With it, we did it, Ramang said, his voice hoarse as he leaned against a rusted pillar. His face was lit by the faint glow of a broken hoload, his eyes searching hers. You broke me open, Lena. For better or worse? For better, she said, stepping closer. Her hand found his, their fingers intertwining. You're free now, Ramang. Not the star, not the brand you. And I'm not letting you face this alone. He pulled her into a hug, his arms tight around her, not as lovers, but as survivors, bound by a shared fight. The city's chaos echoed. Through the tunnel's sirens, shouts, the hum of drones, but in that moment, it was just them, two souls who'd torn down an empire to find each other again. Where do we go from here? He asked, his voice soft against her hair. Anywhere, Lena said, her heart steady for the first time in years. As long as it's together. They slipped deeper into the tunnels, Lumora's lights fading behind them. The world above was burning. Krenitech's collapse a beacon of change. But Lena and Ramang were already building something new, a future forged in code and courage, where love wasn't a secret to hide, but a truth to live. As they vanished into the shadows, hand in hand, the city's pulse beat on, a reminder that even in a world of machines, the human heart could still rewrite the script.